Casual Geographic, why this is the scariest predator of all times. I think this is about alligators or crocodiles from the thumbnail, but I don't know though. Let's get right into it before I get interrupted.
Some animals very clearly got the middle finger from evolution. This is the portrait of privilege. There is no animal that's gotten more green lights from God than a bulletproof, sawtoothed, predatory sledgehammer with hyperintelligence, parkour prowess, and the ability to cryo-sleep like Captain America. That menace is alive. Find out if you want to. Brumation's pretty much hibernation for reptiles.
Okay.
Basically a built-in power save mode for animals that already don't use much of it. But it means this is an apex predator that can survive a fade with Elsa, cause gators and the like can survive a winter in a frozen pond by turning their metabolism all the way down, where they'll just stick their snouts above water, ice, where it's actually warm all the way down, where they'll just stick their snouts above water and leave the rest under the ice where it's actually warmer until fate decides to defrost them. Mind you, brumation's not sleep, and gators will move around on days when it's warmer, but it also means this ill-mannered iceberg can probably sense you walking past it, thanks to another superpower we'll get into later. Cause you're gonna learn that not only is the mame gecko the most disrespectful
How do you get in that situation?
Web, it is humanity's greatest predator, and whatever Oppenheimer
I'm serious. How do you get in this situation?
the most disrespectful.
Did he camp here during the day and that night they just popped out?
Thanks to another superpower we'll get into
Or
later.
how did he get out of it?
You're gonna learn that not
There's
only is the
another
mame gecko
question.
the most disrespectful addition to the food web, it is humanity's greatest predator. And whatever Oppenheimer felt when Hiroshima got hit with a massacre mushroom isn't even 1% of the regret felt by whoever unleashed an armor-plated equalizer onto Earth. But real quick, I'm gonna be saying crocodiles for most of this video, but a lot of this applies to crocodilians as a concept.
Crocodilians. They got a whole bunch of them. Let's see. Yeah, I thought I was right. The crocodile got we call that issue A. The crocodile has a skinnier nose than an alligator. Then you got whatever this is. He ain't done cooking yet. Yeah. This Gario ain't done cooking yet. He probably need a couple months left. A month or two. He's too early. What does it eat though? What is that? Like a cartoon? Yeah, cartoon proportions.
I cannot express how much every part of a crocodile's body is designed to author your obituary, and that includes its walnut-sized brain. Because crocodiles are intelligent on a level that should deeply disturb you. Both mugger crocodiles and American alligators will lure birds in by using sticks and twigs as bait to snatch their souls. That would already be bad enough, without the implication. The implication is that Satan's Snaggletooth stapler is able to take seasonality into account, since they're aware enough to pull this in the middle of nesting season. They're like Batman with prep time, except they've had 100 million years to plot.
That is crazy because they, on a couple levels, they know what birds do with sticks, and they know that birds like sticks or need the sticks. And they know what time of year is the mating season for birds to put the sticks on their head to lure them in. They actually smart. It's not gonna work, big dog. I told you. During the reactions, they turned off.
Middle of nesting season. They're like Batman with prep time, except they've had 100 million years to plot. Another revelation is that the dinosaur time left behind will hunt as a pack, with scientists watching a group of crocs swimming in a circle around a shoal of fish, making the circle tighter and tighter until the fish were forced into a bait ball, just for the chompy boys to take turns cutting across the center of the circle to get their share of fish. There's another example where a massive saltwater crocodile scared a pig into running into a lagoon, where it was immediately jumped by two smaller crocs waiting. Now the implication there is somehow the giant salt.
They actually hunt. It knew to lure it into the water with the other two with that to kill it. And they know how to share then since they hunt together. Gators are neat, just never trust them. Yo, I used to live out in the bayou. Like literally. From my grandma's house. It was a road. And on the other side of that road, it was a straight swamp. You could hear, you knew when the alligators had babies, because every year around the same time of the year, you hear chirping all the time, almost like birds. But it was I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to. It's like okay, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not making the noise, but they would chirp all the time though. That's how you know the new babies were born, right across the street.
Example where a massive saltwater crocodile scared a pig into running into a lagoon, where it was immediately jumped by two.
We used to canoe out in Mayaca, Florida. There were like 50 of them next to the launch. Yeah, they be there. You go to the store sometime, it'd be a couple like sitting right there next to the store. They just, in my opinion, alligators at least are chill. If you don't mess with an alligator, 9 times out of 10, they won't mess with you. From my life experience, that's what I've known. Now, I've heard that crocodiles are kind of aggressive and you don't want to mess with them at all. But alligators, they kind of cool.
Massive saltwater crocodile scared a pig into running into a lagoon, where it was immediately jumped by two smaller crocs waiting. Now, the implication there is somehow the giant salty knew exactly what direction to force the pig.
Yeah,
Crocs have been doing this. It's just, as expert Vladimir Dene will tell you, it's incredibly difficult to study an animal that does its damage in the water. Because if you're in the water studying hunting crocodiles, chances are they're also studying you, and their thesis statement is your headstone engravement. Vlad has put in over 3,000 hours of watching crocs, and has witnessed things like a stronger, heavier croc driving fish to shore, with smaller, more agile teammates hawking cornered fish. Now,
This is crazy. I knew that they were smart based on the fact that they didn't attack anything. This team tactics, they got better teamwork than any random duo you'll find on Apex or Fortnite, anything like that. That's crazy. Yeah, as long as people don't feed the gator, they use it. Stay away from people. Yeah, they're smart enough to pick their own battles. Yeah, exactly, Sharky. Exactly. They smart. They really
you might
are.
ask, how do the crocs share their victims? And honestly, that might be more unsettling than how they murk them. Chris Campbell was a contractor for the Okefenokee Wildlife Reserve, which meant over a decade of watching what a neighbor gator is capable of. One day he showed up to work with 60-something gators posted up by the boat
60.
docks. What he described were two groups of gators, one in the semicircle formation driving fish to the shallows and using the boats to corner them, and the other group in the background resting, or more like waiting. Because whenever a gator from the hunting party caught a fish, he'd immediately retire to the waiting group, and one of the waiting crocs would sub in and take his place.
And they got better manners than most people nowadays. That's crazy. He gets his share, he leaves, and the other person that was waiting gets his share next. What? They literally using the boat to push the fish near the shoreline. He tries to freeze. Yeah. I saw that sign. Do not feed or molest the gators. It's a common sign in Florida. I know the exact sign you're talking about. And that is true. Yo, they actually take turns.
He'd immediately retire to the waiting group, and one of the waiting crocs would sub in and take his place. This went on for hours, until it got hot enough for them to clock out and go their ways. But when Campbell went back the next morning, like clockwork, the morning crush was still there. Same time, same place, same agenda. That's a level of teamwork and foresight most people aren't willing to accept from prehistoric snaptrap. But your ignorance ain't bliss. In fact, it's what sustains them. In many spots in Africa and Australia, people are warned never to get water from the same place more than once, and definitely not past twice. It's because crocodiles will memorize patterns and clock your daily routine, and getting too predictable around a professional camper means the croc will take note, just to ambush you the next.
Yo, Chaboinker. I think that's his name. Yo, thank you for the prime.
Chance they get, and they'll use very little energy to do it. It's also why studying them is like
hunt and
death.
stalk.
Choose the same spots repeatedly, and at best, the croc notices and avoids you with no regard for your research. And at worst, Senor Snappy studies your habits enough to put a halo around your head. That's a real PhD, which makes the crocodile a gift-wrapped FU to any creature of habit, and why the most dangerous kind of croc is actually an investigator. But if you watch this video, you could be the smartest thing
Humiliated by nature.
missing a spine,
check
you'll
that one
still
out.
be a living doormat if you don't have the hardware to back it up. And no animal has more disrespectful hardware than a motion-activated bear trap.
Big bastard. Look at them. They just go for anything, too. You get close to the water, they trying at
Crocodile
least.
is the most physically unfair predator on Earth because virtually every body part has been expressly designed to flatline you. They have the strongest recorded bite force of any animal, at 3,700 pounds per square inch, making its jaw a steel trap capable of
That poor woman recently. A woman got attacked by a gator recently. You should look up saltwater crocodile sizes. I got you.
at 3,700 pounds per square inch, making its jaw a steel trap
3,700
capable of damage on par with victims of war. But Maturing's realizing it's the teeth as much as the jaw. Sharks have serrated teeth to slice through prey. Crocs have death cones designed to keep prey in its custody, meaning if a leather log bites you, you have the lowest chance of escape, which gets worse when the croc, meaning if
I guess you can even see right here. Automod, what Automod? I gotta check on that. He's too. Automod is too defensive. Look at his teeth though. They snaggled out everywhere. So when it clamps down, they don't let go. And it's not razor sharp to serrate. It just holds on and snatches and rips you apart.
leather log bites you, you have the lowest chance of escape, which gets worse when the croc proceeds to drown you, and with crocs being able to hold their breath for up to 2 hours, trust that you'll pass tense long before he does. The only thing with those teeth is, they're great for grabbing, useless for chewing, so they'll slam prey into chunks and swallow them whole, which leads to the most broken finishing move of any animal, the death roll. But crocs also have the most acidic stomach of any animal, and can dissolve bones, horns, and hooves. But they're also bloodbenders with a
hooves and everything else. They're kind of crazy. So they don't what I do know, the crocodiles or alligators, they don't chew like he said. They do the death roll. She was attacked at Little Big Eakin near Orlando. Big Eakin but near Orlando. Damn. That's crazy. Whoa. But oh yeah. They'll grab you, slam you all around, do the death roll. They're near water, they'll drag you to the water. It's a crazy way, man. Crazy hunting.
Heart that controls exactly where the blood goes, and a feeding croc will direct blood to its stomach, so the carbon dioxide in it only makes the acid more corrosive. And good luck fighting back when nature made an evolutionary aggro weapon borderline bulletproof. Crocodiles are covered in osteoderms, and armor plating blocks the teeth of other animals from doing damage, which is why there's...
Yo, have you ever seen the TV show called, what was it called? Swamp Hunters, Swamp Masters? It was something like that. It had an old man on there, and he'd catch a gator, and he'd be like, "Shoot it, shoot it, shoot it," and they would shoot it, right? and I can't be the only one who know that TV show. It was called Swamp something. They would hunt gators, alligators, something like that. And he had a speech impediment. The old man, he would say, "Shoot it," instead of "shoot it." No, that's a real show. I know it is. I'm not making that up.
Osteoderms, and armor plating blocks the teeth of other animals from doing damage, which is why there's more than one case of a croc tanking a gunshot.
It was out in the bayou.
Nasty work is what you can't see.
See, he just said it right there, of a croc tanking a gunshot. When he swamp people say, "Yo, Cannon Buster, thank you." First time chatting, it is swamp people. I'm not crazy. I told you. I knew it. But yeah, he just said in this video, they tank gunshots. You have to shoot them, like, if I remember correctly from the show, like somewhere like in the back of the head right here, but it's the only spot that they can die from.
There's more than one case of a croc tanking a gunshot, but the nasty work is what you can't see. The scales are said to manipulate water.
There's a reason why they use rifles, long range weapon at less than 3 feet. Yeah. Exactly. You had to be specific with it with enough firepower.
In a way that means a 20-foot problem doesn't make ripples. The osteoderms create countercurrents that cancel out any disturbances made in the water. Basically cloaking technology, but in a steroid reptile. The same osteoderms can store heat for when it gets too cold and then release it when it's too hot, so they also have a built-in thermostat. There's one more trick under its skin, and it's that when crocs spend all that time underwater, lactic acid starts to build up in them. But because osteoderms are made of mineralized bones, the minerals will slightly dissolve if the acid gets too high, releasing carbonate and bicarbonate ions that neutralize the acid and raise the pH. Crocs are nature's Nepo babies.
What? How can they do that? Yeah, they're basically invisible, which is terrifying. Did you just hear that though? So the buildup of lactic acid in their bodies get dissolved by their own, what? They're dinosaurs that refuse to go extinct. Yes. That's crazy. Uno reverse. That is my first time hearing about that. They're literally built for that. That's the reason why they're still around from the dinosaurs. They refuse to go extinct. Extremely well designed. Yes, that's why they haven't changed.
Carbonate ions that neutralize the acid and raise the pH. Crocs are nature's Nepo babies. Evolution gave them every cheat possible. And with salties growing up to 20 feet long and pressing the scales at often over 2,000 pounds, it's not like they needed more.
Oh my God! He's out of the water. 20 feet. 2,000 pounds, a ton. Look, he cool with it though. Arms back behind his head. Arms behind his back. He's sophisticated.
Handouts, especially when you realize, except for a tail that stores fat
that's
like a
crazy.
camel's hump,
Look
Crocs
at
are
that.
almost all muscle and look like a snake with legs with Kratos' knives for teeth. That tail is a lot stronger than you'd think, and the same one that can briefly airlift a plus-size predator would absolutely shatter your leg with a direct hit. But there might not be anything more unsettling than crocodiles having probably the most advanced eyes of any animal. Eyes nature put right at the top of their heads, so snappy lads can plot on your
Goofy
life
looking.
while cosplaying as a log. Eyes that have a protective nictating membrane, so even attacking one of their few weaknesses still requires two-factor authentication, especially since they can retract their eyeballs. And like dolphins, crocs can rest half their brain at a time, meaning the pride of Steve Irwin can sleep with one eye open, and studies show
one eye
more
open
likely
when
to
I'm
do that.
dreaming. One eye. Y'all know that video? Henry the crocodile is 124 years old. Yo, I knew no reptiles live a long time. Not even reptiles, but yeah, they do look adorable when they're small. They get bigger, they get crazy. Anything with like slow metabolism lives a long time. Like turtles, tortoises, they live a long time.
Pride of Steve Irwin can sleep with one eye open, and studies show they're more likely to do that when they're around
What's going on,
humans.
Ash?
Also, they have night vision because of course they do, and that's
Yeah, I heard the Greenland shark. Wasn't the oldest one like 500 years old? Oh, one of the oldest one they found so far. But that was like a couple years ago when I heard about that. Okay, yeah, I was right. 500. Yo, the Greenland sharks, 500 years old.
likely to do that when they're around
That is a
humans.
long time to
Also,
be
they have
alive.
night vision because of course they do, and that's not even the most
He's
broken
still
part of
alive.
their vision. The fovea is a small part of the retina, but it's where vision is the sharpest, and it's what you use when you focus on a specific word on a page, or play Where's Waldo. And when you move your eyes to look at something, got him, that's you putting the image on your fovea. The problem is, what is a tiny
shark
dot for us
enthusiast.
is the shape of a skid mark in a crocodile. Having a fat fovea means nature's favorite predator can scan an entire shoreline without moving its head. If you still don't follow, get a book and try to read the entire page without moving your eyes once, and then realize
How much more do they have? This is halfway through the video, and they still just getting more and more perks. Night vision. They can read the whole landscape without moving their head. Their bones literally dissolve the pH level and keep them from drowning. They can't get shot. They can jump out the water with just their tail. They can live forever. They can hibernate through the winter. Their stomach acid can dissolve almost anything. And how much more do you gotta have? They literally live life with cheese unlocked. Apex Predator. Konami Code life. Like, come on. This is crazy.
you still don't follow, get a book and try to read the entire page without moving your eyes once, and then realize how much of a middle finger this creature's existence is. Especially since the Titanic scale demon has cockroach levels of plot armor. Crocodiles can tank freezing cold, extreme heat, radiation, and can live in waters contaminated with heavy metals. And with a diet of a morgue, they're resistant to nastiness like anthrax.
Anthrax. Heavy metals. Those are killers in the water. Yeah, the only reason we are at the top of the food chain is because of our intelligence, right? Which that is a crazy perk to have, though. You ever thought about that? How smart we are? Like, that's crazy to think about. If we didn't have the brain we have, we would literally be bottom tier. Bottom tier animals. We got nothing. We don't have any claws. Our teeth are not even sharp. And we got fingernails, but they can tank everything.
Contaminated with heavy metals. And with a diet of a morgue, they're resistant.
Polar bears are pretty scary. Thank God they are dumb. I don't know much about polar bears. My only fun fact about polar bears is that they got black skin and not hollow, but clear hair. That's all I know. Polar bear. I know they're crazy big though. Yeah, outside of intelligence, we do kind of suck as in the animal kingdom. We're trash. No, hippos. I know hippos are the only bear that regularly sees humans as prey are polar bears. Yo. I know hippos are crazy and dangerous. I do know that. I think in Africa, right, they're even more dangerous than the gators or crocodiles.
Radiation and can live in waters
hippo's
contaminated
crazy.
with heavy metals. And with a diet of a morgue, they're resistant to nastiness like anthrax, cholera, and the most potent substance on Earth, botulism. They also have negligible
Botulism.
senescence, meaning they don't really age the same way most animals do. It doesn't make them immortal, but it does mean that they never really stop growing and can easily pass 100. In fact, right now, there's a croc that's been alive since 1900.
Hey, Henry,
Like the year, which
10,000 babies.
in fact, right
Put in your pants, Henry. What are you doing?
now, there's a croc that's
Yeah, I'm Canadian. My mom used to go up north, and the polar bear stories I've heard, man, polar bear. I gotta look up a polar bear video.
been alive since 1900.
He chomp. He big.
Like the year, which means other than a Greenland shark, I
See, the
don't
Greenland
think there's
shark.
another predator that can outlive a croc, and with them being nature's favorite, of course some sick muppet made them resistant to cancer. And many believe it's thanks to their gut, because the gut microbiome is said to be a huge part of your
I didn't
health.
ask for an
The
inside
crocodile's
view.
gut community manages to reverse cancer. An experiment found that their
What?
gut bacteria put
I
the
did not
brakes
ask for
on
all
cancer
that.
and slowed
What?
the growth of cancer-causing cells. Basically, it's a cancer to cancer, and now I understand why Buddy from Spider-Man crashed out. Especially since it turns out alligators and crocodiles can regenerate a lost tail. Crocodilian blood also throws hands with bad bacteria and
Immunity to cancer. It's crazy. Oh, you're right about that. Besides our minds, we do have endurance. We are marathon hunters, like wolves. They're immune to cancer and they can regrow limbs. It's unfair. That is unfair. What are admins at for the server? We gotta get this checked on. That can't keep going. What?
crocodiles can regenerate a lost tail.
Are they the key?
Crocodilian blood
I don't
also
know.
throws hands with bad bacteria and can dead diseases like salmonella and staph infections. This thing's built like a Dark Souls boss, and the fact that they can survive several acts of God yet get neutralized by a rubber band around the mouth proves nature has a sense of irony. But
Yeah, and tape. Yo. Okay, yeah. You can also wrap tape around that mouth and they can't open their mouth.
God yet get
But they still
neutralized
can
by a
hit you,
rubber
though.
band around the mouth proves nature has a sense of irony. But that's a lot better than getting folded by some of the diseases out there. And there's some stuff that Satan would second guess. Viewer discretion is advised, and this time I'm so serious. I'm not being cute. If you're queasy and not built for body horror, go here.
Alright, did
before
you
I
hear
ruin
that?
Your whole day. Your lack of
Did you hear that? If you're queasy, you watching this video on YouTube, you in the comments, 1017. Skip
not
that.
being
You
queasy.
queasy.
If you're queasy and not built for body horror, go here before I ruin your whole day. Your lack of action will be considered consent. I'm just saying. Last chance, you can still go
Alright,
back.
last chance.
Alright, this is on you. 3, 2, happy Halloween.
Oh,
I didn't even
boy.
curse, I did gag a little. This is a deer suffering from
Hey, yo.
papillomavirus, and it's usually not harmful unless you value
That's
mental
kinda
health.
worse than
But
I
it can also
expected.
cause Lovecraftian rabbits, with those affected seeming to grow tentacles. And if you live in Colorado, you've definitely
Whoa.
seen these jackalopes popping up. And according to this article, the cutaneous quills are caused by the cottontail papilloma virus. This is the worst thing you can see while a mile high, because of the altitude.
What big animal do you think I could, do I think I can beat in a fight? Hold, let me pause the video right quick so I can, ooh man, let's continue this video. I gotta get back to you on that.
Never see a croc with something like that. It just wasn't enough. Nature gave an overachieving iguana the most broken build on the planet. Their abilities
them.
would get them
They're
banned
throwing
in
at the
any
baby.
game. Like I said, a crocodile on a stakeout can hold its breath for hours, and alligators can survive a 5-month cold plunge. Low metabolism means they live on power save mode, and it's also why a crocodile can go up to 2 years without eating. God bless the bloke that breaks his fast.
2
It means
years?
crocodiles can wait out the times that would surely wipe out anything else, and now you see how an aggressive snout managed to reject the same death that found the dinosaurs. Crocs have been around since Saturn was single and still waiting on a ring, and the fact that they can just suspend animation by putting their life on layaway just proves that they really are the teacher's pet of evolution.
He just
Also,
chilling.
crocodiles are more than capable of running fast enough to catch you off guard, or at least a Cuban croc will, and this is the one time I wish it were AI. And whoever said
You know. Wait, hold on.
you should run away from one in a zigzag is guilty of attempted murder. That is a myth.
I was just about to say that. My whole life, I thought alligators were slow. And if you're running zigzags, you can get away from it. I heard this and I was a lit boy. Literally. When I saw the first video of a crocodile actually running and knowing that they can go 35 miles per hour, my mind was blown. I had never seen that before. And I thought back to all those times where I saw these alligators. Like I told you, I literally grew up by the bayou. When I learned about that fact, and I realized all these times I was not sitting, I'm not crazy, but like, I saw alligators like right there, that they could catch up to me so fast, I never knew it. And I was zigzagging too. I thought, I would have died. Well, I'm glad I'm not crazy to go mess with them. Man,
were AI.
look at that.
And whoever said you should run away from one in a zigzag is guilty of attempted murder. That is a myth that only ups the chance that you trip and go out like a horror movie.
Zooming.
You could climb a tree, except they can do that too, because honestly, why not? They do everything else. And not only do they climb trees, according to scientists, they do it regularly, with them finding grown adults 10 feet in the trees and juveniles as high as 30. School taught you to be afraid of quicksand and giant Venus flytraps, yet somehow a drop gator was an unmentioned possibility. They can also climb fences of every kind. And again, you already.
Yo. Okay, that makes sense to me now. There's no wonder why in Florida, all some of the backyard with pools, they have a fence that go all the way up to the roof. That's why. I thought it was just because, other animals in Florida, but the gators can climb. The gators can climb. And you want something between you and the gator, says Croc. Yo. What are you? All right, now I got to step in and solve that problem now. They doing too much. I got to go handle it now.
You know where this was taken. This is flagrantly Floridian. I think now's a good time to mention crocodiles are more related to birds than to a turtle, snake, or a lizard, meaning we just barely missed out on this freak being able to fly. Flightlessness aside, another thing they can't do well is see underwater. Their aquavision is actually kind of mid. We're this far into this video and we finally found a weakness. But don't get too excited, because nature overcompensated with something outrageous. Those pits seasoning the crocodile are pressure sensors, and it's how the ultimate predator can clock the smallest vibrations in the water. It completely erases their lack of water vision. In fact, you could hogtie a croc blindfolded, throw it into a pool, and let a leaky faucet drip on a complete opposite side. The croc will still know exactly where the water's coming from, while you won't know where he is until you wake up at a Tupac concert. And when murkiness brings the water's visibility to zero, they'll T-pose, spreading their legs and fingers to maximize an already broken ability. And speaking of fingers, their jaws are more sensitive.
This is insane right here. There are certain people out there who hate animals. I don't hate animals. There are certain people that love animals to death, like this right here. I'm not that far either. I would never do this. This is still a wild animal. They can climb. They can see. If they're blindfolded, hog-tied, and thrown in the water, I'm in that safe survival middle ground. That's exactly where I'm at, right? They still can find you. Look how big this is compared to him.
Than yours. A dinosaur beast breathing like a nosegay, but let the croc tell it. That's the only demon that's slaying. And I don't know if I said this already, but let's not just walk past the fact that they can regenerate their tails like a starfish's arm. But the thing is, bears are berserker builds on steroids, cats are four-legged fur ninjas, and orcas are the most cerebral serial murderers on the planet. What is it about this semi-aquatic bioweapon that makes me confidently call them the scariest predator on Earth? Oh, simple. They're a predator's predator. Is there a single predator that generates more anxiety in other predators? Even cheetahs aren't fast enough to cheat death in the hit range of the reptile. And the king of the jungle gets a severe vibe check when they're at their element. Not to mention, crocodiles will savage sharks to the point where many believe bull sharks actively avoid them. The crocodile is a
saltwater crocodiles. That's why they're with the sharks. Okay. Every time I see a cheetah in a video, they always just getting the short end of the stick. I'm starting to think, man, cheetahs just are sorry animals. Yeah, cheetahs kind of suck. They all right, okay. I don't know. I was thinking that. Every time I've seen a cheetah video, they always just getting beat by something or just I don't know. Maybe I watch a video and dedicated to them. The saltwater croc is giant. I love cheetahs, but they're just anxious beings.
Crocodiles will savage sharks to the point where many believe bull sharks actively avoid them.
How big they get.
Crocodile is the worst kind of predator, one with zero prejudice, which makes them a massive threat to the most successful predator of all time.
This is
when a lion, tiger, or bear becomes a man-eater, it usually means something's wrong and they can't hunt their normal prey. Polar bears and Komodo dragons are famously less picky, but their home base is so remote that most people will never have to worry about them. Not only do crocodiles practice the worst kind of equality, they're basically everywhere.
The baby
it's
elephant,
not that they
Dumbo.
actively go after humans, just that they genuinely don't care, which is why it's the crocodile that turns more humans into hashtags than any other large predator by a lot. Considering how and where they do it, that number could easily be higher. Even if you don't get killed by a crocodile, there's plenty of psychological damage that comes from being targeted by one.
I jumped a little bit.
In 2003, 2 Australian teenagers spent 22 hours trapped in a tree while being stalked by a 13-foot crocodile below, and the entire night was the two keeping each other awake so they wouldn't fall in. To make it even worse,
he stalked them for 22 hours. All night. They took turns keeping each other up in a tree. This is insane. That is a horror movie. 22 hours in a tree, one gator stalking you the whole time.
And the entire night was the two keeping each other awake so they wouldn't fall in. To make it even worse, thanks to a flood, the waters kept rising, and the Crocs seemed to taunt the two by showing off the body of the third friend it had already caught.
What? I did not know that. It was flooding. The Croc was getting higher because of the water level, and they had the dead third friend just hovering around them. That is straight traumatizing right there. That's traumatizing. They will be forever affected by that. 22 hours with your dead friend down there with the crocodile that's still hunting you. So it was literally hunting then. Because morbidly, right? It already had food, the dead third friend, you know what I mean? It was literally just there for them then. That is crazy.
It would be saved, but only by helicopter. Because really, what else can you do in that situation?
Only by helicopter.
Well, they didn't get it as bad as Ryan. The New Zealander also got stalked by a croc almost as big as the 20-foot kayak he was traveling in, and held captive on Governor Island, where the predator repeatedly made his presence known. 2 weeks with limited food and water, and a 20-foot undertaker that would chase him every time he tried to leave, and Ryan was hanging on by only a thread by the time he was rescued.
2 weeks.
That's the horror of being hunted by the greatest sit-and-wait predator of all time. Because time is their greatest resource. You'll never have more of it than they do. And the fact that the big ones can go a year or more between meals and do their dirty work in murky water makes a man-eating crocodile the most difficult kind to deal with. Gustav was a Nile crocodile believed to be 20 feet long and well over 2,000 pounds. Believed because despite allegedly putting 300 people in past tense and being repeatedly shot, the serial killer Croc was never officially caught. And despite reports of his death, because he was believed to have hatched in the 50s, there's a small but legitimate chance he's still out there, biding his time, just waiting for someone to wander close enough to become 50 Shades of Prey. You never see them until it's too late, and once you do, you might not see them for another year. It's a self-cloaking carnivorous convict that the land before time left behind. This is the scariest predator on Earth. But of course, it's just an animal doing what comes naturally. They're not evil, just forged by millions of years of character development and mass extinctions. It's not hard to see why Steve Irwin rode so hard for them, and I wouldn't be doing Khaki Jesus justice if I convinced you to hate them. Nah, with them it's respect, and a very healthy helping of fear, because moral of the story, always beware the old man in a game where men die young. And you always beware the landlord of Croc Country, because you'll never know when rent's due.
This video is crazy. I clicked on it thinking, maybe learn a couple of facts about alligators. RP Steve, respect to Steve, man. But yeah, I clicked on it thinking, maybe a couple of little things about alligators and, haha, hee hee. No, they're really, from the ground up, bred killers, genuinely, hunters, predators. From the ground up, everything about them was made to live, kill, eat, repeat. They've been around since the dinosaurs. Haven't changed once. Look up the size of a, hold on, I got you.